I'd like you to help me welcome our panelists. There we go. Our interest, I suppose, locally here and beyond within the region is how do we advance MENA? How do we make sure that we are genuinely the go-to place, the hub that's there? And I want to focus on the opportunity and intellectual growth. What is it that we're able to do and why should we focus on the potential that's there? And Sujoy, I'll put this to you. Where do you see there's capability, there's opportunity for us to fuel this growth?
I think coming from the tech background, one of the things that I've seen post-pandemic is again fueling the collaboration between IP owners and the integration of tech to give longevity to a particular event because data is king right now, and that's where the region has been way ahead of several other nations, I would say. Uh, Over the last couple of years, UAE has been representing AI in events and AI in several other industries in events across the globe. Right? So I think that's a big opportunity on the case studies out of this region and how quickly we are adopting technology within the events and pushing the limits in how we process that data to bring much better experiences to the end user in the years to follow.
Very nice.
Yeah.
While you're touching on that, I understand there was a relatively important announcement more specific to Arabic AI and Abu Dhabi
Yes.
that happened very recently. If you can tell us more about that.
Yeah. So one of the world's largest AI and tech transformation events just concluded last week in London, and at this event, Abu Dhabi has announced the Arabic AI. So Noor is a project by the TII, and it's the first Arabic NLP. So the first natural language processing, which is done based on the Arabic language.
Very nice.
So that's a big step forward in the industry of the back end when it comes to the Arabic language to cater to this region itself. Besides that, also the Falcon 180B was announced, and that is at par with Google and several other big names in the industry, and all of that is happening
Amazing.
here,
Right here.
in Abu Dhabi. So that could be used in so many ways, and it's again OpenAI. We are working on integrating it into gamified experiences, which is changing the way people would interact at events like this. And there's so much more that can happen on the back end, which is not visible to the visitors or the end users, but helps give data-driven insight and process information, just like the last presentation, in real time, not having weeks to wait to gather data and then debug that into a
Sure.
logical way forward.
Very interesting. Thank you. AJ, you've been doing this for a little while, and you've obviously seen the shift in the industry and what's happening. Where do you see us in 3 or 5 years from now? What is it that's picking up now and really almost revolutionizing the industry?
I think it's a couple of factors, right? Sujoy touched on technology. The integration of technology into the whole event space is getting deeper and deeper. And I think it's kind of on the stage where it's not good to have great tools and technology. It's what you're doing with that technology at the event itself, right? It's about that smart implementation. So that's kind of one thing, which is one. I think it's making events look far more, I would say, superior in some standards, but at the same time, it's more smarter. It's kind of getting things done faster as well. So it's kind of that whole notion coming into play. The second one I would say is content has always been key. Content is king, and we still believe coming from certain segments of events, and I think that's getting more and more better, especially in this part of the world. There's a lot more bottom-up approach where the content is homegrown. It's no longer getting imported from the West or from any other countries in the world. So that's kind of pushing the message far more. So it has a more amplifying effect when it's homegrown and being pushed outside. And I think that's surely going to get bigger as we move forward.
I think you're absolutely right. There's been a major shift in the last 10 or 15 years and where we were then and our dependence elsewhere versus the homegrown content and organization today. Andrea, hearing about kind of the need for homegrown content, the digitization and beyond that, the world of AI from what we heard from Bruce and Sujoy, And adding to that, the competitive element that's there. At the end of the day, companies want to excel, they want to succeed, they need to be profitable. And one of them might be the collaboration that comes in there. What else needs to happen for companies to succeed in such a competitive market?
Technology is really changing how we work. As a research company, we have implemented most of the tools that Bruce mentioned. I received a WhatsApp this morning from a colleague of mine saying I turned on my laptop and a message saying Copilot preview popped up. Now, if you don't know what Copilot is, go on YouTube and watch videos. It's extraordinary. That's something that would take in 2 minutes. You do the work that you would do in probably 1 day just 5 years ago. So, and it just improves that. The second one is probably people and culture. You have a lot of people within your organization. You need to make sure that they have the tools to grow, they have the information, they have the training for that. So with our team, what we do is there is a new technology, we need to make sure that they are aware of this, we need to make sure that they know how to use it. Either it's a data visualization tool or generative AI. The last thing, and I think within people is also culture. There has to be a culture within the company that also allows the company to be attractive and to keep retain talents that the company has. Last thing would be research, but in general, just make informed decision. But I read a quote once that said, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. So, you know, I think that's a very, very important element.
Terrific. So, Joyce, what is the responsibility from within the industry, business owners and directors, and to their individuals? And what is it that we can do from the outside, similar to reaching out to educational institutions?
I think like all industries, there are a lot of permutations and combinations that drive the success of a particular trajectory when it comes to what is trending in that particular era. I would not even say season or year, because it takes a specific era to transform industries. So we've seen that, for example, with, let's take telecom, for example. Right? Many of us here have used a BlackBerry 20 years ago. Right? It's gone today.
Sure.
Right? It did not happen overnight, but it was that step and that one change that Steve Jobs did on stage, announcing the iPhone and switching from keypads to a touchscreen. Today we have all adopted to that. So it's all about the adoption rate and how that's brought into the industry. Right? So it's not that technology was not there before. Palm and other products did introduce it. So it's the same thing in our industry. It's about the leaders of the current generation that preps the next. And that's what each one of us have to contribute to. Right? And for me, internally, it's the same issue. Our leadership is constantly being trained on new tech, because new tech is also new to us in-house. It's about how rapidly we evolve with our R&D division and then share that knowledge. We have to literally travel to all our global offices, and I myself give trainings to the designers, and we include administration, we include everyone. There's no one in our organization, including the office boy, that would not know about the tech we employ. That's mandatory as part of the culture within our organization, because then that information gets duplicated eventually, at least by a fair percentage of people. And like was mentioned in Bruce's earlier presentation, the enterprise level education, that's important. That's something which I've been initiating with a lot of clients, saying, you don't have to give the job to me, but let us meet with your team and come over to our lab, see the tech that is being deployed at your next event, or see everything else that's in R&D. What's up next? What can be done? Because right now the employment of tech in our industry is a packaged end product most of the time. Right? You see a video or an animation or a reference of a previously delivered solution using tech, and you say, okay, I want that, change logos, and let's do it at my event.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you mix and match? That can only come through R&D, and when you start working closely with the agencies that specialize in it. Right? Everything today is based on three major factors when we're delivering these experiences. It's the hardware, the software, and the content. Earlier, content was king, and now the engagement element of that content is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because content is what you consume. As soon as you have the software and the hardware that starts engaging with the person, you're going into from passive learning to active learning. So when you draw that line between the two, you have to have an element of data collection, which would then in turn give back information and knowledge to the user to take back with him, and then have something that he's learned than just a gamified experience.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. A quick final remark, Sujoy, if you were to say, in the next 24 months, what is it that will fuel the business and contribute economically?
I think with the number of companies that are now propping up, like you said, there's this window, of opportunity. So there's a lot of new startups, and there's the current organizations are diversifying. The key thing, I think, for our industry and for those who are providing tech services that are integrated at the back end or the front end, have to focus on the end user journey and stop focusing on the gamified experience, which people are getting tired of just gimmicks. People want to understand, how is this going to be useful to my brand, to the audience that come there, what's the takeaway, and how is that data going to be utilized in an effective manner. So I think it's about the seamless end user experience, or the B2B solution that you're providing. Like you said, everything is going well, it's a successful IP, why would you want to change? If I provide a solution to them and say, all you need to do is plug in this interface and I will optimize data for you. For example, when the event ends, you will have a report within minutes, right? Using the right tools with the right inputs. You would of course say, yeah, why not? You're just plugging in something on
the
the
flash and lights are nice, but we really need to get serious about that engagement and the experience itself. Thank you. AJ, for you, what's coming up? What is it that you're focusing on from an economic perspective?
I think, and I'll kind of touch base on what he mentioned. The competition is only going to grow across, whether it's for an agency, whether it's for venues, or whether it's for destinations. It's only going to get harder in terms of better for the industry, but harder for the organization itself, which also means I think agility will be very key. How quickly can you adapt to the change of business, the change of demands, and the whole customer behavior? I think the faster you can adapt and do that, you will continue to be successful.
One unmet need that we need to address in MICE?
I think it's probably, if we want to learn from the best industries, the experience. If we look at the studies on user experience of smartphones, for example, and understand people's behavior, how people look for information, we probably still have websites that are still designed in the same way. They don't address individual needs. They're not customized to individual person. I don't have the answer for that. So, but I think that's the direction in which we can go. We have pharma industry that is working in the direction of developing drugs that are tailored to yourself or myself, very individual. And I think the MICE industry has to go in that direction. We have the technology there. We are still asking the same people that have visited the event for 10 years the same questions in terms of who are you, what do you need, and we don't do anything with that information. I come to the show, I want to buy screws that are made of steel. Just that point me in the direction of that company. Or I come to an event, I'm interested in this content. What are the 2 sessions that I do not have to miss? And it doesn't have to be a person doing it. There's the AI that is there.
Terrific. Sujoy, AJ, Andrea, thank you so much for your time today and for your insights. I think it leaves us with a fair bit of optimism and a sense of excitement. There's so much more that's coming and so much more to be done. Thank you very much.
Surely. Thank you. Thanks for having us.